we are candid. We talk straight talk. We tell people what we think. And that tradition and those values live today.
Are the source of all governmental power. That the authority of the people is to be extended. We believe, not restricted, in equality for all and privileges for none.
Kendall, and welcome everybody to a Dem Good Time with the Tarrant County Democratic Party. I am, of course, Rachel, the Communications Director, and my co-host today is, go ahead and introduce yourself, Kendall.
Hey everybody, this is Kendyll Locke, your Vice Chair.
All right, so we have several upcoming events we want to remind people about before we kind of get into it. Let's see. This Thursday, we have our voter registration coalition is having a meeting to do some strategy, talk about some upcoming events and things that they're going to be putting together. That's exciting. What else? And then, of course, Saturday.
Okay. Yes. So Saturday we have our supply giveaway as well as our supply drive. Excuse me.
Yes.
Our supply drive as well as our candidate forum. So you'll be able to meet a lot of our great candidates that are running across the county, and that is from, I want to say, 4 to 7 at the local.
Yes. Yes, it is. That is correct.
So you want to make sure that you're there.
Yes. Be there. So far, we've had some good confirmations. I believe our HD 92 candidate, Salman Bajani, is going to be there. Jay Kleberg has confirmed, so that's exciting. The commissioner. Yeah. So we are going to have several. We have several confirmed. I'm so sorry, I don't remember the whole list. So candidates, don't at me. Right, but it's going to be good. It's going to be a damn good time. And we're going to be talking a lot about education. We're going to play a little game with our candidates and the audience. It should be good. What else? Oh, internship applications. Those are ending the same day as our forum. So on July 30th, make sure you've gotten that in. If you haven't already, you can find it on the front page of our website, along with a little one-pager that gives a little more detailed explanation. So check that out, apply. I believe the fields are field, finance, and communications. So get some real hands-on experience and, get to talk with cool people like Kendall and myself, of course.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to pretend I'm cool so my kids have to agree,
You're pretty cool. I mean, if I have to say
okay. So. I bring that nerd energy, so that mom nerdy energy. Okay, and then not to freak anybody out. Okay, maybe to freak you out a little bit. So Sunday, July 31st is our 100-day countdown, Kendall. It's 100 days till November 8th. I know.
And I want to say, doesn't today make it 90 days to the start of early voting? I think
so, yes. Yes, because early voting is October 24th is the beginning for that, yes. And if you're not already, make sure you're registered. October 11th is the deadline. It seems far away, but when we all get back to school routines and life all, just starts happening at a breakneck pace, you're going to want to not miss that deadline. So get registered now, mytexasvotes.com. You can check your registration, which I do recommend because a lot of people are finding that they're suddenly unregistered. So check that.
Please get registered. Please check it. We have too many amazing candidates on the ballot. There's too much craziness happening all across the board. And so we need you to vote so that we can have a fresh slate.
Right.
People,
well, I mean, go ahead.
No, just a fresh slate of people who will actually advocate for us and address the real issues. Like, stop dancing around the issue. So that's what we need. And I think we're seeing too much that's going on. Not just, we can look federally and we can look statewide, but even in our own backyard, for us to sit back and not vote. And so, we have to see a change. But in order to see that change, we have to get out and vote and make sure that we're encouraging others to get out and vote. Because let me tell you, Republicans are going to vote. They will not miss an election. Let me tell you, the first day of early voting, they have it on their calendars. They are ready to go in and vote. And so we have to have that same energy and that same excitement in going out to vote. And we have some amazing candidates that should make us excited.
Yes,
and we have some issues that should light a fire inside of us to get out there.
Well, I mean, for one, like what you said at the beginning, I'm just ready for leaders who will actually lead, right? Because no one's trying to do a bunch of radical things. We're all just trying to get some stuff implemented that we all agree on, right? I think it's a close number to 70% of Texans did not want the overturning of Roe v. Wade, So just ready for leaders to lead instead of looking for ways to use government to just punish and bear down on people's private lives. Let's use it for good. Let's, do some common sense to make our schools safe and funded and fun again for children, not just testing, that teachers, parents, and the students all hate and has been abused because it's supposed to be a diagnostic tool. I'll get into that another time. Sorry.
You see how passionate we are. So if y'all don't get it from anything else, you can get it from us. Like it is crazy. And we literally, our current climate of leaders are all about making it red or blue, but these are issues that affect everyone and we can all find common ground on. And so I just urge you with everything in me to please get out and vote. And it's not to say you have to vote for the candidates that we're pushing. There's,
please do, though.
But we want you to. But do your research. Find out, the candidates and the issues for yourself. There's a lot of different resources. Of course, we're here as a resource hub, and we have a lot of great information on our website, tenureddemocrats.org. So we have a lot of great information there. But just, vote, but also educate yourself on these different things and make sure that you're an informed and educated voter.
Of course. All great points, Kendyll, as usual. That's why you're vice chair.
That's right.
All right, so should we go ahead and get into it, I guess? And because we already kind of have. So we'll just dive in. Okay, so speaking of education, back to school right around the corner. I know my kids start like the middle of August. Like I think it's only the second week or something of August. They're both kind of right now about it.
I'm sure.
Yes. So KERA, public news, guys, says that basically they're looking at a worry of a teacher shortage, which shouldn't really be a surprise to anybody. We are still going through a pandemic. And on top of that, teachers face, incredible hardships in the classroom because there's not a lot of support. Education is not funded fully the way it should be. A lot of the supply shopping and the things and the burden of their classroom fall on them financially. However, because of the shortage, there are several schools like Fort Worth ISD is doing a $250 supply stipend to teachers to help incentivize and hire some new teachers, as well as I think Dallas and Travis ISDs or Austin ISD, sorry. But they're doing like some teacher bonuses and things like that to try to incentivize. So your thoughts? Let me tell you some of the reasons that are quoted in the article that they are floating for leaving and not staying in the profession. So retention is also a big issue. Not only attracting new teachers, but retaining the ones you already had is a large part of the problem. So reasons are rising inflation, right? Our local government is not doing a lot to help ease burdens or costs, which another reason to vote.
Yes.
Too much testing is cited. So again, testing is a big business in education, especially between politicians and the testing companies. Like, look at that. Go to opensecrets.org, y'all, and look up some donations. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then deadly school shootings is one of the other reasons they cite.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
is it?
I mean, it's all real. I mean, like when you look at it, can we blame teachers for wanting to switch up their profession? And we can't. Like, we definitely would be remiss if we didn't recognize like the tremendous risk that our teachers take day in and day out when they step into that classroom. And we all know that teachers are much more than just, teachers who are there to, teach students, a certain subject matter, but they're dealing with, the students who are coming in with issues. Maybe it's food insecurity, maybe they, a loss of a loved one, maybe it, whatever that, respective.
Homelessness.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of issues that our students face that they're bringing to school that also, then turns into being, put onto the teacher. And then outside of that, like Rachel mentioned, public education is not funded the way it needs to be. Our teachers are very much so underpaid. And we have school shootings that are happening, and it's a consistent thing, unfortunately. And we have a government, a governor that doesn't want to do anything about it. And so, needless to say, there's a lot of risk with being a teacher. I give kudos and shout outs to all of the teachers out there who are, continuing to be in this work and do this work. But, when you have, I guess, a governing body or people who are supposed to ensure that, classrooms are safe, not following through with their promise and their commitment of making classrooms safe, then, there's some real conversations that needs to be had. And so, I think it's going to be a real issue. I think it was a real issue during the pandemic or during the, of course, height. And technically we're kind of back in the height of the pandemic. But of course, back in 2020, we saw, a lot of teachers who were, shifting in 2021 as schools started to open back up. But needless to say, I just think that we have to, find ways and really make sure that we are getting down to the nitty gritty of these issues in terms of public education, because we're going to continue to see a trend that isn't favorable for, just education and our teachers and students. So.
Well, I mean, you may, again, great points as usual, Kendyll. I know from my personal experiences being a former teacher, it's true what you said. There is a lot of burden that is shifted onto the teacher, not kind of dissimilar to what we're expecting law enforcement to do nowadays with, it's a mental health call, send the cop. It's a domestic violence, send the cops. If it's a child abuse, send the cops, right? And teachers, it's not dissimilar, guys. I know when I was teaching, like we were required to go and attend certain student events. So, like a basketball game or a track meet or a band concert, choir concert, things like that. They wanted staff to be there, teachers to be there. And honestly, it was kind of a stand-in for when parents couldn't make it. No shade on parents. I get it. Right. But it's again, like all these after hours outside of school hours, outside of working paid hours, expecting you to do that and be like a little mini counselor for the students. It's a lot. Plus trying to, have your own life and do your own thing with your own family as well, and having to navigate all that. So it is a lot. And safety has to be a part of it. And again, I would love to have this question posed to our current governor, who thinks that we should give teachers guns in the classroom, but we can't trust them to just teach, actual history or facts, science, body, fully comprehensive sex education. Like, we don't trust teachers to do those things, but we do expect them to do all the others, plus carry a gun, plus do like training when nearly 400 officers can respond in that situation. So that makes sense. It doesn't.
Exactly. And there was a time, at least from, what I've seen, there was a time that like being a teacher was like cool. Like that was what everyone wanted to do. It was like, going to school, I'm going to get my degree, I want to go back to my old school and teach, or I want to be able to have an impact in, you know, the lives of kids and da 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 da. And now, like, being a teacher is an afterthought. Like, being a teacher is literally, I'm being a teacher because I just need, you know, the money. And so we have to find a way to kind of change that narrative and to shift that. But that's only going to come by addressing the issues that, you know, our schools and our teachers and everyone within the school system are facing. So, you know, more the reason to go out and vote. We also have SBOE elections that are coming up in November.
Two good candidates.
Yes, so State Board of Education. So we definitely want to make sure that we support those leaders because they work in tandem with TEA, which is the Teachers Education
Texas Education.
Sorry,
Texas Education Agency.
I'm thinking of like UEA, United Educators Association. So TEA, so which sets all the guidelines and standards for education across the state of Texas. And so the SBOE is that advisory board, and we want to make sure that we have good people that are going to be vocal and that are going to stand up for our teachers and our students.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we kind of touched on, you know, school, like safety at school shootings. Which it's not just in the teachers' minds, it's in students and parents' minds as well. And I think law enforcement as well now too, sadly. You know, that's kind of what they're gearing up for now each August. So, which brings me to Uvalde again. So their school board actually just had a meeting and they pushed and passed a resolution. Now, this was a largely symbolic thing that they did, but they still wanted to go on record and do this. And they had a unanimous vote, and they voted to ask the governor to call a special session to increase the age for buying an assault rifle to the age of 21. In case anybody needs a reminder, the gunman who killed 19 elementary-aged children and 2 adults, educators, bought his rifle, his AR-style rifle that he used in the killing, just days after he turned 18. No real hindrance, no issues getting it. Got it, assaulted, and shot his grandmother in the face and injured her, and then went and was so destructive at a school. And again, it was 376 cops that stood in a hallway and listened to those screams, and didn't act in the face of that. And again, now they're expecting the teacher in that classroom to respond to that. So, your thoughts?
It's ridiculous. So one, definitely understanding that it was a symbolic move on the school board's end, but I definitely applaud them for taking that necessary and for taking the necessary action. There's a lot of mixed emotions with this, but for taking the necessary action for getting that resolution passed and to urge the governor to do a special or to call a special session for this. I think that I'll go back to what I said last week. We have a governor who, in the midst of the last legislative session, called special session after special session on issues that they weren't even issues. I mean, you talk about voter integrity. You talk about, all of this craziness. And so needless to say, we have a governor who was willing to play partisan politics and do what him and his, big donors wanted him to do in terms of with the special sessions. But when it's like an issue that you're hearing from both sides, that you're hearing all across the board, that's urging you to act. And we know that kids are about to be back in school now, less than 2 weeks in some cases. And even in some cases, students are already back in the classroom. It's just ridiculous. I think that of course, it's more as a reason to go and vote, but it also shows you like how it just really shows you how these leaders how much they control. I don't, it's just all over the place, Rachel. I don't even know. I mean, my thoughts is ridiculous. My thoughts, I am glad and grateful for as a school board taking that action. But we really, I mean, we just have to see something else. We have to see something give. I don't know.
Let's just say it plain. Like, let's call it what it is. Governor Abbott and the Republican Party, all behind him, they all called special session after special session for their priorities, not the people's priorities, not even their constituents' priorities, for what they think is going to help them keep power. That's it, right? Because we all have said, hey, we have a gun problem in Texas. We all recognize that. Even gun owners are like, yeah, we need some better like gun safety laws. This is kind of insane, right? Parents are saying, hey, we can't harden every target, and I don't want my child's school to become more of a prison, right? So we got a gun problem. We need to do something about that. And again, they don't pass anything to protect life. They pass things that they think are going to protect their power and their position and keep getting them elected, because fewer and fewer people want to participate in the process because they have so poisoned all of that. They have so poisoned the process. It's by design. It is intentional.
And it's not about taking guns away. Like, I am so sick of all of these people saying, oh, well, they're only urging for the special session because they're trying to take away our guns and come and get it and da 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 da. Like, it's not about taking away guns. It's about safe gun ownership, and it's about making sure that we take a closer look at who's getting these guns and making sure that we are able to prevent another one of these horrific situations from happening. And so I just, I don't know. I just think it's very disheartening to have a governor who, which I don't even know if he has kids, but needless to say, your constituents are kids. Like, you literally have people who are urging you to protect lives, and you don't want to protect lives, and you're the governor who can protect lives. And so I don't know. He's just ridiculous.
So right after Uvalde happened, he formed a special committee, and he wouldn't address or answer any reporters' questions about, is it anything going to be done on guns, because he doesn't want to touch that. He doesn't want to piss off the extremist in his base, right? The pro-insurrection crowd, that is the base of the party now. It doesn't want to do that, but it has a special committee. So I do applaud the Uvalde School Board for doing this. Like, again, even though it is symbolic, it does send a really strong message from that community and saying, look, you can't keep ignoring us. Like, he didn't attend a single funeral, a single one.
Nope.
Okay. The same like night that after Uvalde happened, he was at a fundraiser, right? Don't tell me he is pro-life. He does not care. He does not care. It is about him and his power. A quote from one of the from the article discussing this: as Governor Abbott has said, this is from his spokesperson, all options remain on the table as he continues working with state and local leaders to prevent future tragedies and deploy all available resources to support the community as they heal. More announcements expected in the coming days and weeks as we deliberate, the legislature deliberates on proposed solutions. Again, the bulk of what the Texas House has released doesn't really talk about guns. No, they're trying to shift it to, it's a mental health thing. It's a mental health thing. Or we got to put more law enforcement in the schools. Okay. How do you do that without re-traumatizing that community, the parents, the teachers, the students? How do you add additional police officers when the kids that survive, they know they were calling the cops. They know they were inside that classroom smearing blood on themselves to survive. And no one came for an hour and a half. No one came. They called. They did exactly what we've all told them to do. When you're in trouble, they are there to protect and to serve. Call the law enforcement officer. Call the police. And they know that. So I'm going to be 9,000 shades of pissed if that's the answer that we get from the governor, which I have a feeling like they're broadcasting. That's kind of what they're going to do. That's not enough. Like, it's not enough. You can't just keep throwing more cops at it. You can't just keep asking more of people without giving resources or any kind of real effort to help that community heal, to help get us all to a better place as a society. Like, that's your job.
Yep.
Just do your job.
Yep. And he doesn't want to do it. And so that's why we have to give him the boot in November. But yeah, no, I just, and then too, you have state representatives all across the state that are urging the governor as well. So it's not just like people like me and you.
Even Republicans.
Tweeting about it. I mean, you have Republicans, you have Democrats, you have, these elected leaders who also have their own constituents that are, urging him to do something about it, and he still doesn't want to do anything. And, it's, to me, it's a matter of life or death. I personally, if I was in his shoes, I really wouldn't care about what my base has to say, because at the end of the day, that's blood that's on my hands. And so if I have the power to do something, if I have the power to prevent another situation like that from happening, I'm going to do it. And so it sends a lot of signals, and hopefully those are signals that will ignite people to get out and vote. But continue to call the governor, continue to call your state representatives, continue to urge them to call a special session, because it's definitely needed. And it's not enough to say that we'll wait until January and, wait until the regular session starts, because we all know how that will go. So.
Right. Got to keep pushing. We've got to keep pushing. It often can feel in politics like nothing happens. Like, that's by design. The people in power want it to feel like nothing will change, so why bother? That helps them stay in power. It's easier for them, right? So we got to keep pushing, because that's how we've gotten some changes. Like, that's how we have local governments trying to do what they can where they are at, like the school board here in Uvalde. That's why we see different ISDs trying to, really think about these things and ways to support their staff and their students, preventative measures to try to catch mental health things early. But they can't address the big elephant in the room, which is guns. They can't. That takes the legislature, that takes state government, that takes leadership. And we have yet to see that from Governor Abbott and his party on this issue. So shifting gears a little bit, have you been following Carroll ISD?
Oh, God.
Have you? Okay. So in case, again, a little refresher for people, there's a wonderful podcast by NBC, I think NBC News produced it, called South Lake. And it talks about all the drama surrounding that community, just within their community, like within their own community, local government control, a concept we all support, local control. And they organized and tried to, really address the racism they were seeing at their school and put in some policies that would help support, Black and brown students. And then they also expanded later to include LGBTQ as well, and protections and language and adopt that, whatnot. So they're at it again. And
for the red light.
They are being a little slicker this time, though. I'll give them that. They're being a little slicker with it because they got too much press and attention the last time. Clearly, there's a whole podcast about it. But they had their school board race. They had a ton of dark PAC money pour in and support a ton. No, really, like it's quoted. Oh, I found it somewhere. Oh, yes. Andrew Yeager, one of the extreme kind of right-wing extreme candidates who won, sadly. That's why you got to vote every election, guys.
Exactly.
Every election, right?
Every election.
Often the school boards, I mean, the members, they win by like just a few hundred votes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's, in the like only the double digits. So it really does make a difference when we show up consistently. Anyway, he was backed by the South Lake Families PAC, which was one of those big dark money groups, and they spent more than $37,000 on the campaign in just 1 month. That's how much they were able to buy this school board
race. A school board race. Most people that run for city council won't even have that much money spent.
Oh, not even close.
So that's
right. Like 10,000 is doing pretty well, right? Yeah. Like 37. Oh, more like we don't even know the exact number, but it's more than 37 in 1 month. That's crazy. I'm sorry. That is in local politics. That is like an insane amount of money. And the South Lake Families, and I think this is going to be coming around the bend, because we're already seeing larger media reports on the rise of Christian nationalism, which is just a fancy new branding, I think, for white supremacy. So there's that. We'll get into it. I'll share articles. It's a whole thing. But the South Lake Families PAC described themselves as unapologetically rooted in Judeo-Christian values. So again, this is why there's a bit of a warning sign here.
Can we be rooted in what matters most for our kids? Can we be rooted in focusing on our students and what they need to be successful? And I mean, God, dog. Okay, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I agree. Agree.
I mean, I don't so I understand the purpose of political action committees. Don't get me wrong. Sure. However, when we talk about local races, such as school board races, like in most cases, and I want to say for all school boards, they're nonpartisan. And literally, you're there to advocate for students. You're there to advocate for teachers. You're there to advocate for what's best for our schools. Like, it shouldn't be all of this like political this and political that, and I don't want this. And like, at the end of the day, like, what's best for our kids and what's going to make them feel or have the most comfort when they step inside a classroom. Like, that's point blank period. For when it comes from what they're, the policies that's in place, when it comes to making sure that they have, good lunch, like, that's what we should be talking about. We shouldn't be. What's
going to set them up for success, right? It shouldn't be, we're a PAC that holds, these very specific, worded values that, again, that's like dog whistling. But it should be what sets them up for success. What is going to help them feel safe and, prepared. Like you said, school lunches being free and available, have a good meal in their bellies, resources in case they are in a homelessness situation. There are things we could be addressing and really uplift our society as a whole. And instead, we're having these culture wars that, again, we don't have to have. Republicans just keep choosing to have those instead of actually, working.
Right. And we have to recognize that our schools are diverse. Like, you're going to have all kinds of students that are stepping into those classrooms, whether it's,
different
races, faiths, correct. So needless to say, like, we have to honor that. And for us to try to step on that, for us to try to force our students into a box, that's just, it's beyond me. So,
It's just wrong. It's just wrong. Like, we're not trying to have, the state, like, a common theme on the right is, again, the extreme, is the indoctrination of children. No, we're just trying to give everybody a good baseline so that we have, a well-functioning society. It's just common sense. Like, you don't want to deal with people who have no clue. You want people to have an idea about how things work. so that they can function in that society. You know, just basics, like there's an arrow, that means go that way.
Right.
You know? No, don't overcomplicate it. Just all right. So the Carroll School Board is they just voted they're going to review their policy and in their code of conduct. Now, they did pass by a 5-0 vote, so unanimous, to keep the same one they had from 2021-2022 school year. And it included the terms sexual orientation and gender identity in the anti-discrimination statement part of that code of conduct. And several parents spoke out at the board meeting when they passed this. Again, they did repass it, but the reason these parents were there, and this is where it's getting more insidious, is because they passed it now, but with the caveat they're going to review it in September. Well, guess what's going to happen in September? Those parents that were able to show up here in the summer and learn about this and address it and take action, they're going to be busier. It's going to be harder to show up to that. And the review is going to be done behind closed doors. Now, let's remind people, this same school board is under, do you know how many investigations, Kendyll?
Many.
It's not one. It's not two. No, it's not three. It's 5. It's under 5 investigations by the Office of Civil Rights. So again, like, these are why we've got to vote. These are the reasons, right, that we all get frustrated and say, you know, why aren't they just centering the kids? Why don't they just focus on the students and then go from there? Because that's what we all agree on, is we want them to have a great learning experience and set them up for success. And it's because they'd rather do crap like this. They would rather target and harass and let kids be harassed to score political points. Like, there's no reason to allow discrimination on this basis and to teach kids that. There's no good reason. Make that make sense.
Yep.
It
doesn't. Yeah, I don't, you know, and like, we see this so many times. Like, we'll temporarily pass something with the caveat that we'll review at a later date, and then the later date that's a closed super early morning meeting, and everything goes downhill. So needless to say, I mean, yes, please go out and vote, even in your school board races. Find out who your school board members are, and actually understand what they do. I think a lot of times we think that they're just there to hire and fire the superintendent, but they are controlling a lot more than you think in terms of what's going on in your respective ISD. So, you know, more the reason to vote, more the reason to educate yourself. Yeah, I would really like to have a school board that just focus on our students and what's best for them.
Well, and again, to your point of, you know, it's going to be an early morning, or it's going to be behind closed doors. The very party that claims government can't solve problems, that is the government right now. Okay. Republicans in Texas are our government. They are the majority. So they are in charge of this. Okay. Stay with me. The thing that they're saying cannot work is the thing they're making sure does not work.
Exactly.
So if that's frustrating to you and you think that is stupid, like I do, vote.
And
vote for other people that are not Republicans. Because again, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. And we've had that for 20 years, and look where that is getting us.
Yep.
I mean, what is it? Beto wants to fully fund education, to legalize cannabis, to do that, which brings in a bunch of revenue, brings in a bunch of new jobs, also helps small businesses. Like, there are discussions we all can have that the majority of us agree on, right? Because it just makes economic sense. It's like getting government out of people's lives. It makes sense. It saves us money as taxpayers, does public good.
No. That could be a slogan. Vote Democrat. It just makes sense.
You know what?
mean,
my episode title for sure.
There we go.
Because it's true. It's true. Just vote Democrats.
Exactly.
So we are on the Greed Over People watch, which is the GOP. See what I did there? I like cheesy stuff.
That may be a tweet today. That may definitely be a tweet.
Yeah. Okay. So I like to kind of keep tabs on what the opposition is up to. Mm-hmm. And just last night, thanks to one of our wonderful Democratic Party members, Bob, brought it to our attention that Mark Fulmer, who is a member of the John Birch Society, is going to be speaking at, he kicked off the revival, of the John Birch Society. He's also a member. But just the other night in Tarrant County, in Bedford, at a Spring Creek barbecue. So guess y'all like to be associated with that. I wouldn't. Wow. Anyway, he is going to be the next speaker at the Tarrant County Republican Women's Luncheon coming up tomorrow. So that's what they're up to. They're like open arms, like, yes, this racist organization, you're our people. Come speak with us. Like, how do you feel comfortable with that as a member of that party? There's no making sense of that.
It doesn't make sense. It's more the reason to get out and vote. And here's the thing, like, Republicans, they show you their cards. Like, they are unapologetically true to their values and who they are. And if we don't see that they are toxic to, democracy, see that they're toxic to our well-being, like, there's something wrong with you, because Republicans are toxic. Republicans don't get things done. Republicans aren't about compromise. Republicans aren't about addressing the real issues. And
within the culture wars.
Yes. So it's just, I don't know. It's horrible. But I mean, coming to Tarrant County for lunch and y'all are just like, oh yeah, we want them. We're selling tickets. Come on, come have lunch. Like,
I mean, they're literally fundraising off of having a racist speaker.
Yeah.
In the open, like, I would love to ask.
But then you point out then you talk to a Republican and you say you're a racist, and they're like, no, why would you call me that? Da, 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 da.
It's like, well, that's what your party is embracing openly. And if you're not comfortable with that, you have to like call it out. You have to vote against it. Yeah. I do know a lot of people that I will talk with, friends, families, people from like high school and things like that sometimes. And the conversation is, oh, well, I'm kind of a single issue voter. I'm like, okay, what's your issue? So 9 times out of 10, it's they identify as pro-life.
Yep.
And again, with all that's happened, with the shootings, the many shootings that continue, right? We just had one in Dallas the other day.
Yep.
And with all that's happening, like, how do you keep, if you're a single issue voter, you can't just then like allow yourself to ignore the rest, right? Exactly. That's not how that works. You may have one issue you're very passionate about, and that's fine. But know that when you vote and you say, I'm a single issue voter, I'm pro-life, so I'm voting Republican, that is the only party for me. You own all the other stuff. Exactly. Like, you're not just voting for the one issue, you're voting for all of it. And I don't think most people are okay with all of that. I don't think the average suburban mom who just wants, a little bit of help because everything is getting costlier, and now there's another $5,000 we got to drop on braces, and there's no help coming, and all the expenses are going up, and we don't have more doctors that we can see and more options. We have less, right? Yep. You can't ignore all of the other stuff. You can't just be a single issue voter and think, but I just like that one issue. I mean, it's the same with Democrats. It's the same.
Right. Yeah. We all play our part, but I mean, I think so. So it boils down to the voter, of course, but also too, when you look at the Democratic Party, like, we are about addressing the issues that matter. Like, we're about, like, who cares about all of this political stuff? Like, we're about working together and let's get the stuff done. And so those are the kind of leaders that we need. Those are the kind of people we need. And like Rachel said, just recognize that when you identify with either party, like, you are, kind of associating yourself with everything that comes with that party, all of the baggage. And so, just make sure that you're being informed. I mean, making sure, that you are just staying up to date on what's going on within your party. Like, of course, be in tune with the candidates and the elected officials, but also be in tune with the party, because there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens with the Republican Party that I think a lot of Republicans don't even know about and they don't even follow. And I think 9 times out of 10, if they were to see them or to know about those things, that would definitely change where they fall on the spectrum. So
agree completely. Yeah. So that's not great. And then now on top of that, so speaking of, racist gonna racism. Anyway, so within the Republican Party, there was an article in the Texas Tribune, and it was the Log Cabin Republicans. For those that are not familiar, Log Cabin Republicans are an organization within the Republican Party that are representative of gay Republicans. The LGBTQ community is within that. So the article is titled, "We Failed. Gay Republicans Who Fought for Acceptance in Texas GOP See Little Progress." And I can't disagree with them, guys, gals, peeps. Your party is not embracing diversity.
Nope.
Clearly. I mean, they're trying to wipe it out of the discrimination at the school level. So it's not looking great for bigger, areas like the whole state.
Yep, exactly. And I want to say, just looking at, I want to say it was maybe last week, but the vote that Congress took, or the House took, on the marriage equality.
It was this week.
Or this week with the Marriage Equality Act. Like, no Republicans supported that.
Okay, even crazier, a Republican congressman voted against the bill,
and 3 days or 4 days later,
like a few days later, attended his son's gay wedding.
I literally went on IG and I was scrolling, and then that came up, and I said, "What?" So you literally vote against something that your own son. Child. So I don't know, but I am now not surprised by what comes from the Republican Party.
I mean, I shouldn't be, but even that one, I'm like, dude, your own kid. How do you vote against your own, and you go and then celebrate that?
Yep.
So again, it's not about, they don't genuinely care about the discrimination. They just like it as a tool to get elected.
That's it.
And I mean, I don't think that's reflective of our society. It is reflective, unfortunately, of our voting society, which means we need more people to vote, because this is not, I don't think this is us. I really don't. I don't think most Texans, even ones that identify as Republicans or former Republicans, independents, this is not who we are as a people, who we want to be. We just have to get all of the ones who are disgusted by this,
Yep.
Who have had enough to vote.
Yep. Yep. That's what it's all about. I mean, it's all about making sure that we have the very real conversations about these different issues, that we bring this stuff to light, and that can translate into people voting. So go vote, please. Go vote.
Mm-hmm.
Vote. Go vote.
So Ken Paxton, indicted under indictment.
He should be in jail right now. I mean,
he's been under indictment for like over 5 years. And he's under not one, but like 2 investigations on top of the indictments he's already got.
I need that in my life.
Right? Can I get that privilege, please, next time I get a speeding ticket?
Your wife is a state senator. Yeah, okay.
Both attended the Stop the Steal rally.
Yes.
Both attended, which yes. I gotta say, that was interesting, considering this news had broken like right before that about his mistress and his little side hustle of getting her a job and the whole donor thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I find that politics, especially if you follow the craziness on the Republicans, like I have to, it's way better than like the tabloid made up stuff.
Yeah.
It's insane.
You can get some good laughs, you'll cry a little, but you'll get a lot of laughs.
It's true.
Yeah.
So Ken Paxton, though, is escalating his fight with the Texas State Bar Association because he has banned his staff lawyers from speaking at any of their events. And he's doing this in response to the fact that they are suing him because of his 2020 lawsuit that challenged the presidential election. Now, he brought a lawsuit in the 2020 election, and it alleged misconduct. It misrepresented and said he claimed to have uncovered substantial evidence of voter fraud when he tried to block Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin from their electoral votes, college votes being counted. Do you notice the state that was missing in that list, Kendyll, that was brought by the Texas Attorney General?
Exactly. Texas.
This is so weird. He's not worried about his own damn state.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you're worried about everybody else. I mean, my thing is, dude, why are you meddling in the election? The election is
we know why.
We know. Well, yeah, we know why.
They wanted to steal it. They were trying to steal it.
And I mean, y'all, it's democracy. I mean, if it was your way, if it had went your way, do you think that us as Democrats would say, "Oh, they're stealing this, and we're going to go and plan an insurrection and da 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 da"? No, it's the process. Like, it is the process that has been around for years and years and years, and so to try to circumvent that is so just ridiculous. And you have an attorney general that is focused on trying to steal the election and do all of this stuff, but you're not even focusing on what you're really supposed to do in the state. And so, yeah.
I mean, let's rewind to 2016. My preferred candidate did not win.
Yeah.
Which, again, I will digress if I go there. But despite the election interference that clearly happened and was later proved to have happened on his behalf by a foreign state actor he welcomed into our democratic process. But we all got pissed. I got a little depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And then we said, okay, now we go. Now we work. Now we see what we can do to fight back at the ballot box and the legislature, do what we can.
Right.
I don't subscribe to that whole notion of like, not my president kind of a thing, because they absolutely are.
Right.
Again, that is a right-wing tactic to get people to feel like well, if I don't get everything I wanted, what's the point? It's to help foster that feeling of apathy and pointlessness, to help let people eliminate themselves from the process, because again, that keeps them in power. But like Governor Abbott is absolutely my governor, not my preferred one, obviously, but he is our governor, and he is not acting. And I have children in public education. I am a former teacher. That is not, he's not showing leadership. He is not showing anything that is worthy of reward of more time on the job. So I'm going to do everything I can to get him out of that job. Right? That's democracy. That's what we do. And the other side is just saying let's just not do democracy.
Let's do our own way, and that doesn't work, and that doesn't cut it, and that doesn't, help support the lives of everyday people.
Doesn't provide stability. I mean, if the laws can change on a whim because of the people that have installed themselves in power, because again, if you don't have a democracy, you're not picking the leaders, they're picking themselves. So if their idea of what's legal can change depending on the day, their mood, who it is that's seeking, that kind of protection of the law. Right? That's not stable. That's not a functioning, thriving society.
Go vote.
Greg's got to go. He's got to go.
He definitely has to go. And how he
bye.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. Him, Dan Patrick, Ken Paxton. I mean, we need all of them gone.
Well, and here's the thing. The kind of crap that they foster at the state level, like at the top of that hierarchy, again, Ken Paxton is fighting back against the state bar lawsuit, not because he doesn't, he knows what he did, right? We know what he did. We saw it all in real time. And then we've been reading about all the many, many scandals before and after. But it's just to try to pretend long enough to hold on to power, because he thinks that his base, his people will reward him for that. And if they do, if you single issue voters are like, yep, that's my guy, expect more of the same. But that mindset of we're just going to do whatever we want, and I'm going to fight back and do this whole cosplay pretend thing that he's doing right now, it trickles down. So we have a right-wing group, and they are targeting, and they're doing a review of 300,000 Tarrant County ballots from 2020 primary, because they just became public record. That is the state law in Texas. So our local Tarrant County elections administrator, Hyder Garcia, is following state law. That's what he's supposed to do. But they are reviewing these records. Again, it's presetting a narrative. It's to try to make people think by just doing the investigation that there's something there. We've had multiple audits of the 2016 and the 2020 election, certified multiple times by Republicans, because again, they are the ones in charge. They are doing these things at the local level. Again, though, all of their people are the ones in charge. So this is cosplay. This is political theater. But this is why we need everybody to go vote. This is the crux of it. They do this political theater to get people to think, oh, there must be something to that. Why would they ask? Why would they look? Why would they go through all that? We need to have such overwhelming numbers. They can't continue to do this kind of BS. They can't pretend there's something there, because we had 90% turnout, right? That's really hard to argue those numbers when you get that kind of record turnout. That's why 2020 was such a success, because we had 11 million, the most on record ever in Texas vote, if we get another 11 million again in 2022, they cannot dispute the results. We cannot dispute the results, right? We got to all vote. I know we keep saying it. We got to all vote. We do. Like, they're not going to stop.
Yeah, you have to vote. And my thing is, I don't know, you continue to do these audits and audits and audits, and you're not going to find anything. I mean, you're not going to find anything. I mean, literally, it is the process. You go in, you vote on the little electronic machine, it calculates your vote, and we move on. Like, this is just, I mean, yeah.
So. Well, they want to take X-ray pictures of the machines, and that does worry me, because that's the same kind of craziness we saw in like Arizona and their audits. Pennsylvania, they're trying to do that. The similar groups all trying to do the same thing. I mean, that, like, it's a little weird that you want to take forensic pictures of the machine. Like, I feel like that's not something the general public should be looking at or sharing or disseminating. I mean, we had the Republican Secretary of State in Wisconsin, Michigan. I don't remember. Not Michigan. That was a Democrat. I forget which state, but she like is under investigation because she like allowed people to come in and get access to equipment they were not supposed to have access to. And I feel like this is kind of the Raptors testing the fences type of thing here, right, in Tarrant County. They don't know that they can get full access, but they could maybe take some pictures. You know, that's just another way to, again, try to inject out there into the ether that elections are suspect. And unless we win, everything's wrong. I mean, that's not democracy. That's dictatorship. No thanks.
Yep.
Sorry. Ken Paxton, multiple indictments, multiple investigations, should not be the one.
No. It just makes your head hurt when you think about all of these people and their wrongdoings.
It really does. It really does. I mean, the millions they've taken in from dark money groups, from energy companies to not regulate them and fix the grid, Dan Patrick, Governor Abbott. Yeah, it's a lot, but that's okay, because we have amazing candidates, and we are going to vote. We're going to, everybody, engage them. And again, it doesn't have to be overwhelming, right? I think you probably have a similar experience, Kendyll, when you talk to people about voting. You're not telling them, like, go vote for this person because they support this thing, right? You're just talking in general about, like, your own life and how it's affected and why you're wanting to support this person for whatever reason.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. That's where I leave it at. I encourage you to vote because it's the right thing to do. At the end of the day, I have candidates that I want you to vote for, but I just need you in that number to go and vote. I need you to go and pull up these candidates. I need you to realize that you're voting because these are issues that literally affect your life. You're not voting for me. You're not voting for Rachel. You're not voting for the Democratic Party. You're voting because that's the thing you should do. And so don't forget to get registered. If you're not registered, the last day to register is October the 11th. So why don't you just go ahead and, download that form, fill it out, get that taken care of. So make sure you're registered to vote. Put those early voting dates on your calendar. Put election day on your calendar, which is Tuesday, November the 8th. Make sure that you are ready to go. Because we have the power to change the trajectory of our state and of where we're going, but we can't do it alone, and we have to have you. We have to have your kids if they're of voting age. We have to have your mom, your dad. We have to have everybody.
Cousins, aunts, uncles, everybody activate them, right? Get them activated. And like you said, Kendyll, it's not about supporting me or you. It's about supporting amazing candidates that want to do what they can and work with others, because that is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to compromise. We're supposed to come together to improve your life. And we're not seeing an improvement in our quality of life here in Texas for the last 20 years. It has been sliding in the wrong direction. And we have a real opportunity to fix that. We have a real opportunity to like hit the ground running if we elect Beto and the Dems down ballot, right? Don't forget, don't just elect the big names. Keep going. Keep going. If you really want to see and feel that impact as soon as possible, it's all the way down ballot. It is a county clerk who's not going to do a stunt like Kim Davis did in Kentucky and deny same-sex marriage licenses, because right now there's a climate where that is coming again. That is coming again, guys. They are, like, they did the vote. The Republican voted against his son and then went to his wedding, his gay wedding. So it's every office, every single one matters. And we're going to get it done. We're going to see. I'm truly getting excited because I don't think polling is picking up on the energy on the ground. I mean, really, even among Republicans, like Republicans, independents, and I know Democrats are like fired up and ready because we have such a big opportunity with Beto and the whole slate down ballot. Just amazing, amazing candidates.
Yep. So get out and vote.
All right. Put it in your phone now, October 24th through November 4th. Vote early. If you've already voted when that time comes, great. Remind people. Don't stop there. Keep bugging people like, hey, did you vote? Hey, did you vote? Because it really is going to take like really great turnout with all the apathy they're trying to foster. But we're not going to let it get us down.
Nope. We're going to keep it moving. Keep it pushing.
All right. That's all I have for today. Next week, I believe we are going to have a guest candidate, Shannon Elkins. So looking forward to that. HD98. She's so great. She's fun. She's always very like positive, upbeat, like just great energy to be around.
A breath of fresh air.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Kendyll. And thank you, the audience, for joining us as always. And see you next time.
See y'all.